everyone, it's Chris again. I'm heading over to Redmond, Oregon. Got a customer who reached out to us, needs a tiny home transported. And so I'm trying to make my way over to Redmond, Oregon, which is about 3 hours away from my home, or from our office. Take a look and see what the difficulty with this tiny home is. Again, it's a 30-foot long, 12-foot tall, supposedly, 8-foot wide tiny home that's manufactured by some individual. It's been sitting in the field for some time. This individual that purchased it is trying to get it over to California from Redmond, Oregon. He's been literally sitting in hotel rooms over the last few weeks trying to find a carrier to transport it, or a transporter. And so we're going to try our best to help him out here and get it over across into California. But before I do that, you know, obviously with everything, you got to make sure that it's roadworthy, that you can actually make the delivery. And with you know, with the winter season coming in, there's snow up on the mountains, and I went over to Mount Hood, and it was covered with snow. So going over through California from Redmond Bend into Redding, likely I'm going to experience again snow, so I got to be prepared for that with chains. And anyway, I'm going to be taking my time looking this thing over to see if it's going to be roadworthy, if I can make it roadworthy on my own, and if not, if needed to be taken over to a shop or a tire service shop. Another nice, you know, like I get all these weird transports. This thing does not have brakes. Supposedly it has no harness for electrical, so it has no lights on the back, and the brakes to the calipers and the drums and the axles are not existent. Either they weren't installed, or they just got torn or broken or cut or something. So I'm going to go take a look, see what we got. You know, I'm bringing my 3500 HD dually here with me to make this transport. Generally, without brakes, 20,000 pounds behind me is a little bit of a concern, and so I normally would bring a larger vehicle. This should be able to handle up to 35,000 pounds. However, without brakes going down hills, your weight distribution is a little bit off, and so I'm going to be stacking as much weight into this truck as possible to counter for the weight that I'm basically pulling. And so, so with that in mind, I'm about 20 minutes away from Redmond at this point. I've been traveling for 2.5, maybe 3 hours. And so I'll be looking at this tiny home. We'll see what it is all about, and we'll give them a thumbs up or thumbs down, or somewhere in between. If he gets to get this thing fixed, we'll still make it transport. We'll still transport it. But if there's a concern that I got to address, he's going to have to get it over to a service shop, you know, Les Schwab's, a Nolan's Tire, someplace that we can get good tires on it, and good rims, and good brakes. If it does not have brakes, we can still make it work. Just need to be very careful on it. Hello everyone, so we just arrived here. This is the tiny home that I'm looking at right now. It's 30 feet in length. I'm doing a measurement from the height, which, believe it or not, that roof right there is sitting 12 feet and basically 148 inches. So 12 feet and a half almost to the ground, and that's the height of it, supposedly, unless it arches. I'm going to go take a look. It's about 30 feet long. I'm going to measure the exact length of this design. This is a homemade, somebody designed it, somebody built it. So it's a little heavier than expected. It's got plywood, it's got a lot of different parts that you would use towards developing a manufactured home. And you know, the upper roof itself looks high, but it's not. It's only 12 and a half sitting 12.5 high. So look at the structure from the distance. It looks almost like a flat roof up on top there. And although it's an arched roof or a V-roof frame, it is square up at the top. So that tells me that's the highest peak, highest point. I'm going to climb up there and take a look, but that appears to be 12.5 tall right up there. Now I'm looking up at the ceiling of the roof and making certain that it's all flat and not concave or angled, and the sheet metal is on properly. There's insulation, foam insulation between the areas there. Can't prevent that from flying off, but you know, it looks like it's secured there tightly. None of this stuff I can do anything about as long as I don't hit any trees. But yeah, everything else seems to be ideal. Anyway, this is the tiny home on 8 lug axles that are down below here. Of course, it's you know, maybe partially not completely finished. It's got you know, the trim on the bottom seems to be missing, but whoever designed this thing designed it from a heavier size frame, reducing it to a lower size frame. As you can see, heavy up in the front, lower size. So you got a, you know, a foot almost frame up at the very nose front near the tongue, which is, that's ideal. And then it reduces it down. There's a large weld, and it reduces it down to a smaller size frame down in the almost to the very beginning, the halfway point line, and it continues all the way back. It's sitting on 2 axles, both 8,000 pound or 8 lugs, 10,000 pound apiece. These axles with supposedly these tires should do the trick, but we're going to check it out. It looks like tread is good. This particular tire is a, oh my gosh, let me take a look here. I don't know what ply that is. I can't see it. I got to clean it up before I can tell you. So I wiped down a little bit of the dirt and dust off the tire. It says this is a tread 6-ply nylon sidewall, 6-ply. Plies nylon load range E. So this is a 6-ply, which makes it very, very weak. You know, I brought with me 10 plies and recommended is a 14-ply. I'm reading this correctly. It's a max load dual 2780. So it's 2,780 pounds. Well, I guess I'm assuming per unit, per tire itself. Although this is a steel rim, the tire, it's only designed to about 3,000 pounds. And it's a 6-ply, which makes it very weak. It's got an 8 lug wheel, but the ply, the strength of the wheel doesn't really matter if the tire itself is a weak tire. It will not hold the weight of this unit depending on the weight of the unit. If this is a let's say more than 10,000 pounds unit, well, we got a problem, because these 2 axles are 3,000 a piece, 3,000, 6,000 a piece. The weight of the unit shouldn't be more than approximately the axle or the tire itself that it can hold. So if these 2 axles together are 6 or 7,000, let's say together are 7,000, and the unit is 10,000 or more, then these tires will not hold, especially for long distance. So that's the first concern I've got. It looks like the hubs are decent. There's a little bit of a wear here, but I don't think this thing is seeing the road quite a bit. So the tires need to be replaced for sure, especially long distance. We're going to find out the rest of the story here. But ultimately, the rims are decent, the tires are weak. We've decided with the owner that we're going to replace the tires. The rims are going to remain. I'm going to head on over to Nolan's and get the new tires installed and get the unit scaled. And then essentially get my way over to California tomorrow. So with that in mind, I forgot, it is based on my measurement, 25 to there and 7 to the nose. So that makes it 32 feet long. What's concerning is right here, this turning radius here, because this box right here was built afterwards, and it's built over the tongue. So that gives very little clearance to make the turns. My truck is sitting right by, as you can see where the bolt is. So I got very little clearance to make the turns without hitting this thing. So that makes it a little concerning, but I'll manage. Otherwise, tires, lights, we need to put lights on it, and of course get it off the ground and secure it.
So, a girlfriend I hitchhike with speaks Norwegian, and she can get me through all the way to Germany, Yeah, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and then even in Germany, she can do enough. And then from there, I got to go to Amsterdam, where everybody spoke English.
Yeah.
And from there, I planned my next trip, that kind of thing.
So as we've done before, we've reinforced this 20,000 pound hitch assembly. The tiny home is secured. We're gonna put some lights on, but it took it was a painful experience to get this thing up and down because of the weight. We're gonna go to the truck stop and reinforce it again, but this is what it looks like back here. And this is the heavy weight capacity hitch, so we should be good, at least to the truck stop, and then we'll reinforce it. We're ready to go. Got the truck and trailer connected. We're gonna pull it up just briefly onto the road, and then put some air in the tires and put the lights on, and then off on the main road we go. And just like that, we managed to come across a free scale on the side of the road where we obtained our weight, hopefully accurately. This is the weight of the supposedly trailer behind us. Well, you guys, I made it here at Love Truck Stop in Madras, Oregon with this unit. Look at it sitting. Anyway, it's connected to the truck just fine. The hitch assembly that we've supported it by is gonna be now rated at 30,000 pounds. But 9,000, and that's 10,000 pounds. So in total combination, I got about 30,000 pounds of support right there. Look at that beefy frame. This is kind of a weird thing though. You got a beefy frame in the very front tongue forward area, and then it kind of blends in and it shortens into a 6-inch frame. So from a 1 foot to 6 inch, and then obviously you got the issue with the tires. We got 8 lugs, good rims, but only a 6-ply tire. This is how it's sitting in the back. It's very low in the back, and I've got it to the lowest point almost on my hitch in the front. But because of the tires, I drove about 30 miles to get here, and as you can see, I need to put some air in these tires, but the rear tires are very low, so it's lowering the back of the trailer slightly. As you can see, it's almost 4 inches from 5-6 inches off the ground. You can see it better from this view. Again, this is a 12 and a half tall trailer, homemade, manufactured at home by, look at that frame issue right here. You see that frame? Beefy frame, thin frame. Beefy frame, thin frame. It's weird. I'm not certain I understand how that worked out to be the plan, but it's welded, obviously, And so there's the unit. We're at Madras Love's Truck Stop here, about waiting to get some fuel. With obviously a convoy trailer in front of us. Like, we haven't seen enough convoy trailers. Anyway, that's the unit right now. We're gonna go in the morning at the tire shop and get those tires replaced and exchanged, so that way they can take the trip to California. So here we are. We also went on the scale to see how much we actually weigh, truck trailer combination, and we're waiting to see that. Once I once I get up in line and get fuel, I'm going to go inside the Pilot store and get my scale ticket. They've already weighed the truck and trailer. We're going to go and see how much we weigh. After scaling on the scale, we were able to get a 3,900 steer, 96 drive, and 13,000 pounds on the trailer. Woohoo! That is much lower than what we anticipated. So that makes it ideal. However, we still need brakes and new tires. Here I am with the tiny home getting fuel now at $4.64 a gallon. Again, 12.6 or 12.5, the height of the tiny home. We're going to top up our fuel for tomorrow morning. We found out what the weight of the trailer is. Believe it or not, you've seen in the video the hardship we had lifting this lift up because it was not working properly, and then I added the additional supports, thinking it's going to be really super heavy. But you know, ultimately, it wasn't that heavy. And I'll show you the ticket here. I went through the scale, and what it showed is 3,940 on the front, on the steer axle, 9,680 on the drives, and 13,580. Total 27,200. Now, obviously, without CDL, this would be a violation. 26,000 being the maximum. But we are CDL compliant here, and this unit, I was thinking it was by itself about 20,000. Its actual weight is about 13,580 on the rear, with a little bit on the tongue. So I'm assuming it's maybe 15,000, maybe 16,000 pounds. Maybe that's it. 16,000. I would classify about 16,000 pounds total for the entire trailer. Now that doesn't mean that the axles or the tires are going to hold out. Okay, there we go. We got enough fuel. The axles will hold out. We don't have brakes for one, so because there's no harness for electrical, so we're using portable lights. So we got no brakes. The tires are underinflated right now and decreasing, so we need different tires. They're very poor quality tires, and so tomorrow we're going to get new tires and replace these tires, and apparently the customer's going to pay for the rims as well. Brand new rims, brand new tires. Otherwise, these tires will not hold the weight of this unit at 16,000 pounds. So now we know it's approximately 16,000 pounds in total weight. So the only difficulty sometimes with hauling or transporting or being a carrier, if you're doing the hot shot thing versus the the semi-truck thing where you have a sleeper or a day cab or a larger unit to sleep in hot shot business, kind of like this, if you have to sleep overnight, which I did, you're pretty much restricted to the cab of your larger pickup truck or truck that you have, and you can only sleep crouched in or laying into the back seat, reclining onto your front seat, whichever it is. But anyway, that's really not a very good rest. Here's the tiny home. It's the morning. We checked the tires, or I checked the tires. Here I go again, I mean me, myself, and I. The pressure on the tires, we got them regulated at 75 PSIs. That's what's recommended for cold. It is about 36, 37 degrees right now here in Madras. They have the plow truck ready to go. I guess it's expected to get colder here shortly. But yeah, that said, hot shot business versus when we haul big rigs, it's a little different. It's a little harsh on the arrangements. You really can't rest very well overnight, and you don't really get to sleep. You're just kind of up and down in your seat trying to catch some Z's without resting. So that's the struggle with that, unless you take out the seats or unless you're making your truck a little more comfortable. We've done I have a couple colleagues, and I permitted some of our drivers to actually take away the passenger seats, so that way they can insert like a inflatable or maybe a mattress in there, and they can extend their feet out lengthwise, and that way they can sleep in there a little more comfortable. However, you got to run the engine, you got to stay warm, and you got to make do with what you can in order to make some money as a hotshot driver or a tiny home transport operator, or maybe an RV guy. We don't sleep inside the tiny homes. We don't enter inside the tiny homes, and we do not do this. We don't do this. We do the same with the RVs that we transport. We only sleep in our own equipment and vehicles. So if we have a sleeper, like a bigger size truck right there with that guy, the Elefante Express Ltd, those guys, we have, the Freightliners that we drive. Those guys have sleepers in the back with double bunks and, microwave and all the necessities outside of a bathroom. But with pickup trucks, you're pretty much at the mercy of what accommodations you made for yourself inside your cab. And so that's the difficulty in hotshot business. Anyway, we're here, tire pressures. We're waiting on a call from the tire store, which is about a mile away, to allow us to come over and get the tires serviced. So we made it here at Point S in Madras. We got the trailer here, and they're gonna take a look at the wheels and the tires and replace those, and that's going to take a little bit, but we're here. It's about 8 a.m. and we should be able to get it all done here in the next few hours and be on the road. So we're here. I just want to tell you guys, the two wheels were built, or the frame was there, and then they built the structure around it, so it's going to be a difficult process to get it out of there. Because there's only about an inch of clearance between that T111 and so we're going to see how we're going to get it out without damaging the side of the trailer. But anyway, it should work. There you go, it released. Considering they've been sitting there for 6 years in that position, took a little bit of a shaking and baking, but they got it out. At least one of them, I hope. We'll see. Oh my gosh, look at that. That's kind of a tight squeeze in there. See what we can do about that. Anyway, we're going to call Kyle, the owner of this, to see what he thinks we should do here. So in order to get it away from the actual frame or the actual siding, we're deflating the tire completely, because those wheels are fat, they're wide, and the new wheels, they're thin. These are the new wheels. Brand new wheels, brand new rims, 16 or 14 ply. Versus 6-ply. However, as you can see, they're having some difficulty trying to get it out without deflating the tire. And so hopefully with the tire deflated, because of the hub blocking clearance, and then the siding blocking clearance, it's going to be a difficult one, but let's see how they're going to try. These guys are the professionals. They'll make it work. We'll see. Got the first tire out. They had to break the bead in order to make it happen. Look at the size difference here. So we got a little bit of a concern, but we'll see how it's going to fit, because there's only so much clearance underneath there. Even though this is thinner, they got to squeeze it underneath that sucker. And this guy, they had to break the bead in order to slide it underneath, or from between the siding and the hub. The siding is, obviously was built around the frame, and so now they got to either squeeze that in there without damaging the siding, or lift the whole structure up higher so they can fit it in there, or break the bead and so the same way they pulled the other one out. But they'll make it work. They got the, they have to break the bead on this guy and actually slide it in there, because it's, a little bigger tire than these old tires, and they had to slide it underneath the siding, and they got it in there just fine. They have to actually lift the whole trailer even higher off the ground to be able to squeeze it underneath there. But these guys, like I said, these are the professionals. Point S, don't go anywhere else. Don't go Schwab's. I mean, I don't mind if I really have, the time or the patience with Les Schwab's. Honestly, you guys, I've been down the road, and but if you can find a Point S, these guys think outside of the box. So come over and check them out here in Madras, Oregon. So while I'm here getting all this other stuff done, while they're putting these, they already did, these 2 new tires on here, on this trailer. Looks like they maybe need to inflate it a little bit. I don't know. It looks a little, low, but maybe they just put them on and then they got to pressurize them. But while I'm here doing all that, the tow truck dollies, these are the original tires that came with the tow truck. The other tow truck, the red tow truck. And so I got a good deal on new tires. These are going to be replaced. These are the old ones. They're bulbs. 2 of them are almost gone completely, but they held air just fine. I mean, I towed with them quite a bit. This set right here is about $2,000 just for, without the brackets. So we're going to invest more money in getting it properly done, so it's, so it's going to work for all needs. He's going to take the old tires. Look at the, look at the condition of this tire. It's gone. There's no tread on it. Not like you need a lot of tread pulling a vehicle on a dolly, but you still need, to be able to grip the road. So anyway, we're getting those replaced with this. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I'll show you. These are brand new 570s APR. These are high run. These are trailer tires. They're safe for trailer use only, but they're basically designed for dollies. And again, these are 570s, size 8. They're called High Run. They're manufactured by a company called High Run. They're pretty inexpensive. I mean, at this point, I'm getting a deal on these tires because I'm getting the additional work done. But so we'll see how these new tires are going to look on these dollies when they're done. In the meantime, he's taking his time to make certain that the bolts and all that are not going to break off. Although the customer's paying for these tires, obviously, and the rims, I'm going to have to pay for those tires myself. So, a little bit of here and there gets me everywhere sometimes. I don't know what that means, but it's something I say when I don't know what to say. So looks like he's working on the other 2 tires right now. The other 2 are completely installed. They just need to be pressurized and properly inflated. He's taking these 2 out. Again, he's got to break the bead to get them out of there. And then he's got to tilt the trailer completely almost to the other side to make it happen. This is what they look like when they're without the tires or the rims. You know, they look a little rusty. Perhaps we can clean those out a little bit. He's taking the tires off and the rims, and now we got the hubs still sitting on there. And he's going to put them back on once you get them all wheel and balanced and all that good stuff. Looks like they're right over there. That's a pain to get those things loose, and especially considering they've been sitting there for That doesn't damage the rim, does it? Like the bead itself?
It just chips the paint.
Oh, just paint, yeah. That's the work they gotta do when things are just not coming off. And you would look at the hammering of that tire and you're thinking, well, you know, that's damaging the tire. No, not really. It's actually, those tires are deflated. Now, if it's air in there, you got a problem. It's almost loose. That one doesn't want to free up. I don't know. Some WD-40 maybe?
Maybe. Oh, it's a little better than that.
It loosened up and now he's getting it out of there. I just want to show you guys this frame with these axles was never completed. There's the brake lines here, electrical, that is, for brake, but there's no harness going back to the front. It's loose like that, so you can add brakes to it if needed to be, but it didn't come that way apparently, and the owner has not decided to put brakes on it. So with that in mind, we're gonna just play it real safe and make our way to California once these tires are on. So how much pressure are you putting in there?
90.
90. Yeah, it's cold outside, you know, the winter time. It's all right, I guess.
Yeah.
In summertime, maybe that's a little too much.
Yeah.
We're all done here. They put the new tires on, torqued them to 150 psi's, the lug nuts that is. They put 90 psi's of air inside the tires. Those are the 14 ply. They're rated for 6,000 pounds a piece. So that's 12,000 pounds each side. That's quite a bit of weight. capacity for the tires, and the rims as well are decent rims. So those rims are going to hold the weight. A-lugs, good tires, good rims. The old tires I'm bringing, they're right up there. There's a lot of imperfections. I'm happy that I actually made it over here because the sidewalls are cracked and ready to go. If you look at some of the old, like this one here, can't see it on the, yeah, you can. There's a lot of cracking on the side walls, but the one on the bottom, which is the worst one, here's the sidewall all the way across. That is a major no-no, a major concern, right? So that would have blown up the minute I would have gone a little faster. I'm happy that I actually managed to make it all the way here with those tires, considering especially that one tire. And then of course I got my dolly tires, and then I put my old dolly tires. These were kind of inexpensive, but you know, they're gonna come in handy with the tow truck. So everything is set up, ready to go, and we're on the road. You guys, we made it to La Pine, Oregon here. Just a little bit down from Redmond. We topped off at Chevron, got enough fuel, and we're retightening the bolts at 150 psi's, or pressure torque power. So we just checked all the lug nuts. They're all super tight. We done maybe like 40-50 miles, so now it's time to recheck them, because you know, the rest of the way it's going to be all the way to California. Once you've done that, you checked it with an actual you know, ratchet that has a measuring tool on it, and the pressure adjustment handle, you know, it's got measurements here, so as you can set it for pounds, torque, foot, and pounds. So it's showing 150 psi's, being at number 4.2, and then adjusting it to 8.6. There's a calculation here. We've adjusted it initially, and then having the adapter to make it work. So it's important to make sure you check your tire, lug nuts, your bolts, tire pressure. You know, we've inflated those things to the requirement, which is 90 psi's. As far as the tires themselves, the torque on the bolts is 150 I guess if you want to call it foot pounds, right? Pressure. All I call is pounds of pressure on the torque of the bolts and the lug nuts. So anyway, we're good to go. We're now topped off with more fuel, and readjusted the tires, and then got something to eat, and now we're gonna head on. Well, good morning. It looks like I forgot my hat here. I've been driving for quite a bit here, and I have a question for anybody that's watching. How do you stop 20,000 pounds of weight from sliding off of your rear end? From your fifth wheel, from your gooseneck, from your bumper pull in this case? How do you stop that from sliding off when you're coming down at a 7% downgrade, 6% downgrade, or that is when you have to stop at a high speed from 65 miles, let's say, for example? How do you stop 20,000 pounds, or in this case, closer to 16,000 pounds, when there's no brakes? Well, you don't stop it. That's the thing. Without brakes on trailers, you really can't. You're at the mercy of your own momentum, your own stability, your own ability to manage that counterweight, that balance, and you just generally, you can't. Traveling 65 miles, 55 miles, 45 miles, even 35 miles an hour, and come into a complete stop, which you must sometimes, because, you know, there's people on the road, you know, and many people on the road don't really know your size or your capabilities, or the fact that you don't have brakes on your trailer, so they just get in your way. So, but besides people getting in the way, you come to a complete stop around the corner, or the traffic light turns from yellow to red, or from green to red, sorry. And so you got to come to a complete stop between intersections or whatever. How do you stop that weight? Well, you really can't. You really can't stop the weight. It feels like it's a tank behind you pushing you forward. Now, add that to an incline position, you know, upgrade, downgrade, whatever it is, downgrade mostly, and then add on top of that ice or wet ground, worst case, ice. You really can't make that stop. So, what do? Well, you got to pay attention, read the road, read the traffic ahead of you, and have an out at all times. Have yourself an out. Essentially, plan your escape. Plan your escape when you see the traffic in front of you. Always plan out an escape. Plan a different route as you slow down, as you attempt to make a stop at all times. I know it's very hard sometimes, and staying alert to that issue, especially when you're traveling with no brakes on a trailer. You always have to, you know, I use the Smith system. You know, I teach everybody, you know, the commercial drivers, hey, use the Smith system. It means simply, you know, the Smith system is all about communicating your risk and communicating your environment around you as you're traveling. That way you stay alert. But that is a very good system to use, especially when you're you know, traveling and you're tired, or you're actually you know, somewhat relaxed, or don't ever get complacent. What's the proper word? Complacent. Don't become complacent. I don't even know what the word is. Don't get lazy on the road and fall asleep with your brain and your eyes staring at the road. Meaning, don't lose track of the environment around you, the traffic around you. Always know what's going on. How many cars behind you? How much distance in front of you? Who is on your left? Who is passing you by? Who is on your right rear? If you got one lane, two lanes, you know, how far ahead of you must prepare for an intersection, or is that car ahead? You know, I call them a sniper. You know, approaching intersections, and cars just sneaking their way into your lane, ready to blast out in your way. You know, you call it like it is. Be on the offensive at all times, and recognize the traffic around you, and leave yourself an out, because you cannot stop 20, 16, 15, 20, 10, even 5,000 pounds. 5,000 pounds on your rear at 65 miles an hour, trying to stop it, will literally demolish you if you are attempting to apply a fast, what they call it, a stab fast brake, application. And so when you do that, it literally, your weight behind you, the counterweight, pushes on your vehicle, pushes forward, and then it could damage your hitch. It could damage your trailer if it breaks free. No matter how much support you got back there, it will not hold. So always leave yourself an out. Leave some space between you and the other. It doesn't matter about the traffic, you know, around you. They don't really care. Don't worry about those individuals that are, hey, what's this guy slowing down for, or why is he such a slowpoke? You know, I travel 55, 65 miles an hour constantly on the freeways. In the side roads, on the one-lane roads, I actually, 45, 50. You know, I take a little slower, especially with a trailer behind me. You know, where there's nobody on the road, I push it to my max 65. I reach my max capability. Now with good tires on this trailer, I can do what's normal traffic with no worries. You know, I got no wind bothering me, and the only times I slow down is, in one lane heavy congestion, and where intersections are a concern, or where there's tree lines, that are low clearance. Those are the areas. But generally, you can do pretty much the normal speed of traffic limits with no concerns whatsoever. Except you need to give yourself maybe 2 additional football lengths in order to slow down and stop. So when you come down at an intersection, you look ahead and you're like a mile ahead. You can see, maybe you can watch your GPS. If not, you can see in the far distance during the daytime an intersection approaching. Slow yourself down. Come to a crawling speed before you get to the intersection. So that way you can actually stagger your speed down and stagger your weight behind you at a lower rate, so that way you can prevent the rear from pushing you off the road and jackknifing your truck and trailer. Here I am approaching a weird turn here. I'm going to slow down as much as I can because I cannot see the other side of this turn. It's recommended 45. I am at 40 miles an hour as I make this turn because I don't know what ahead of me is approaching, and I can't look at my GPS since I'm looking at the road, and since you're watching me on the camera. So I actually have to pay attention to these things. You got to pay attention to your surrounding. You got to keep track of your traffic. You got to keep track of the space between you and the other vehicles, and you got to constantly be on alert. Always be on the offensive. Leave yourself an out. That's how you stop a heavy weight behind you without actually wrecking. So with that in mind, there's no stopping 65 miles an hour, 20,000 pounds behind you. There's no way to stop it. Without weight distribution, without brakes on the trailer, you're going to jackknife and cause a havoc or chaos on the road. So always leave yourself an out, keep your distance, and be safe on the road. I am almost to my destination here. I've gone over the mountains. I've gone over the valleys in tight little squeeze one lane farm roads, and without brakes. This thing, it took a long time to manage, but safely I got here. I'm about 20-30 minutes away from arriving, and that should be the end of this trip. So again, stay tuned as I make my delivery. You guys, so made it here to Mulberry Lane. This is one of the most steepest ground entrances that I've seen. It's heavy rock, gravel. Here's the owner of the tiny home. Made it over here, but we're gonna have some terrain and navigation. All right, you guys, so we are here at Mulberry Lane. Very nice property. Kind of resembles the one in Longview or in Corbett. Even though it's better gravel than the Corbett location. I mean, you got really nice river rock, mixed river rock with, heavy crater rock or whatever, lava rock, whatever you call it here in these parts. However, we have a plateau up here. The plateau is maybe 50 by 50, maybe a little bigger. It's nice. Tiny home can fit up here just fine. Very nice views from up here. Very nice area. The issue we've got is going back down this road, which is what do you think, about a mile? Half a mile?
Half a mile.
About a half a mile. It inclines about 6 to 7% at various intervals. It's not wet, it's dry. It's gravel and mixed clay with big chunks and small pieces, 1 inch to 2 inch and in between. It's probably been cut whenever this road was created. But the issue's got two areas of concern. First area, I'm going back down now. We're kind of, if you can't tell the angle here, we're approximately 50% or 6%, if depending on how you judge it by what you measure it. But this area right here, even though it's steep, it could be navigated with the 4-wheel drive pulling 16,000. However, the problem is that there's a turn, and the turn suggests that you can't hit momentum at 35 miles an hour and make this hill without adjusting. And so the adjustment period would simply put the truck back into a position of delay, and that causes momentum to be absorbed, and you lose traction that way. So this area is number one concern, coming up here and turning, keeping momentum, and getting it up the hill without stopping. And then if that's not a major concern, I'll show you the well, actually this is nice. This is doable. The actual hill that I was trying to show you guys is right here. Sorry, I was off by one hill, one turn, one hill. Anyway, this is the hill that I'm concerned with. Heavy incline, don't know the measurement, tight turn, and then steep. So this is right here. Oops, I don't trip up. This is where the momentum will surely need to be kept up to the point of no stop. 16,000 pounds up this hill. So generally, you know, I've done these before on a regular blacktop, even with a gravel, but I've always had a backup, you know, dingo and excavator to pull me in case I lose momentum. I'm concerned at this juncture here that this turn would suggest that I need to adjust. As I come up this hill, this turn would suggest that I need to adjust just as I come up that way. And adjusting means I'm going to lose traction, and then I'm going to be stuck up there with the truck in front, trailer behind me, and there's no turning from that point on. The only solution is to get an excavator track vehicle to pull me out, and there's no such vehicle here at the site. So that's the one concern, or area. It's the first area of concern. The other area of concern, I wish it would be just like right here where we're walking. This is fine, flat here. The other area of concern, which is going to be not as troublesome as the upper section. So look, that's where it kind of goes around, comes up, goes around. The other area of concern is right here. As you can see, the truck is down below, and there's a little bit of a dip right here. I know the camera can't catch the actuality of the road very well, but this dip.
Turn left onto Mulberry Lane. Then the destination is on your left.
I am here at Mulberry Lane. Anyway, this dip is it needs some work in order to get that fixed right, but it will literally scrape the rear of the trailer once I hit that dip right there and go up. So in this case, I can build up enough momentum and just floor it up the hill, 4-wheel drive, continue, and then make this hill with no worries, knowing that the rear of the trailer will scrape, guaranteed, because it's only about 6 inches off the ground. And so my tires are going to be up in the air. The hitch is going to tilt. Here we are on the front. This is the front. And when this lifts up, the rear will go down. And Let me show you the rear, if I can get around the building. Oh my gosh, it's tight squeeze. Well, you can, well, let me see if I can get through this heavy brush to get to the back of the trailer. Oh my gosh, sometimes, oh. Anyway, this is the rear. And so when this dips, it will catch those landing gears and the frame, and will dig up into the dirt and possibly damage the landing gears and scrape the frame. So that's not a big concern. The owner says it's all right, we can make that happen. What I don't want to do is get stuck up the hill without a way to get back down, and then still have to get an excavator here. And generally we do this setup service. You know, this is a delivery service right now we're under, but a setup service would require a dingo, a bigger tracked vehicle to use as a backup. We didn't plan for that. The owner has not instructed us to need that. And so in this case, we're gonna be deciding here shortly what we're gonna do in regards to this issue. But it is impassable at this point, considering the terrain is still slightly wet and the gravel is very loose. So the only solution is to get it back down the hill here, back in a position of safety, and then rent a machine. Homeowner rents a machine and then transports it on its own accord up the hill with the use of an excavator, or pays us to do the process, which we've done it before. We could do it, except it's going to be a little costly to get this thing up that hill. Yeah, I backed it off from that steep incline hill, that dip over there. So I backed it back down, and we're going to try to position it back onto the road or somewhere nearby, and he's going to use an excavator, and we'll see if he can do it on his own, or if he wants to pay us to get it up on top of that 1 mile up the road gravel area. All right, we're here. We're going to take the trailer down, and it's time to disconnect. And this landing gear needs a little lubrication, some grease, but it's supported the weight of this big guy, which is tremendously good. Do you have another chalk block I can borrow? Just in case I don't want to sit here all day. Maybe we can probably borrow this guy, because you don't really need to go forward. It won't go anywhere forward. It'll go backwards for sure. Let's get back this thing up. And I never disconnect Safeway chains until we're completely loose and clear. There's many reasons for that. First reason is obviously you don't want to lose your load, and then you have a safety. So this guy comes equipped with a good reinforcement lock, and now it's a matter of getting it up off the ground. So if I come back on the other side,
get some leverage. Ooh.
and crank this sucker with all my strength. Oobity. That'll take a little bit of time with that guy. If you guys want to give me a hand?
Absolutely.
With it?
I want to ruin the video.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro, you want
All
my
right.
ass in there?
All right. I'm not worried with it.
Happy to throw it down, bro.
Oh, yeah. It's nice and tight. Sometimes I need to shift just a slight bit because it's locked in there. So I'm going to back up just like a millisecond. Just enough to pop up.
Good.
Phone didn't even fall.
It looked like it did.
It moved a little bit. I didn't hear any pop though. Going anywhere?
Definitely needed a little bit of grease on that guy. When you get
Spit.
a little spit, a little something.
Anything you got?
But you got to get the gears in here, because I think it's just steel against steel right now. There's no assistance.
You got in the back top, right?
Yes. And if you want to put this one, you can put it between the tires. That'd be ideal too. All right, here we go. Come on, buddy. Let's go.
Superman.
There we are. Oh yeah, almost. This is what it takes with an old unit, a big unit.
I wouldn't know.
Sometimes they have an electric. We're good now. We're clear.
Heck yeah.
Okay. And now that the unit is clean and clear off, we can just pull forward once we disconnect. We don't disconnect until we shake hands and we do our thing, and then I can head on out. Guys, so tiny home delivered. The rest of the story begins from here, getting it up onto that hill. The homeowner, or the tiny homeowner, is with the landowner, is going to negotiate that. It's brought here. We brought in the tires that came with it, the new tires. Are you guys satisfied with my transport?
Oh, 1,000%.
1,000%. Would you let me do it again?
Wouldn't go with anybody else.
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah.
This is one of the best tiny homes I've seen manufactured. I've seen the inside. It's amazing. And if you got the time and money, you can put it together yourself. If not, I'll send you a link of this gentleman right here, and then he may be able to build it for you.
Yeah.
At the stop sign, turn right onto CA 70.